Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 10th annual Power of the Partnership celebration. Most of you know me. If not, I am Katie Hess, Director of the South Mountain Partnership, and it's my privilege to work with the committee members to manage our programs and to help direct the strategy of the partnership. We're going to jump right into things this morning, keep things on schedule as much as we can. We have so many great speakers and panelists joining us today, and I want to give them as much time as possible. So I'm handing it off to Secretary Dunn to begin our opening remarks.
Excellent. Hi, everybody. I was just thinking back to last year about this time, and we had no idea what was coming in a few months with the pandemic about to hit us. But that event down at Ski Liberty was just so nice. A great breakfast. I was joined by Secretary Russell Redding, who lives in Gettysburg and who was our agricultural secretary in Pennsylvania. And I always enjoy spending time with Russell, and his year has been extremely busy. Food security in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has been obviously very, very challenging, and he's done a phenomenal job. Our farmers in Pennsylvania and in the South Mountain region have done a phenomenal job to keep our population fed. The significance of that has just become all the more clear in this pandemic. I do want to take a moment to recognize some of our staff. Lauren Imgrund, of course, you'll meet. She'll be speaking. She's our deputy secretary, very, very much involved with the leadership in the South Mountain, as well as all of our conservation landscapes. I want to take a moment to recognize Mike Eshelman. Everyone who's been involved with the South Mountain Partnership for any length of time knows Mike really well. Mike retired this year, so that's one major happening that has changed in DCNR from last year to this year. Mike's origin as being our internal lead of the South Mountain Partnership began when he was asked to come to a meeting in the formative years just to run the PowerPoint projector, and he ended up running the whole partnership. And really, it's safe to say that it wouldn't be what it is without Mike's leadership. His contributions, his way of looking at partnerships, his broad view of who should be in the room has led to the South Mountain Partnership really being our deepest connected partnership with a broad range of deeply engaged partners across the landscape. That's attributable to Mike's view and the way he quietly led the rest of DCNR to a broader engagement with things like agriculture and the local businesses and a deep relationship with the counties. So his leadership then went on to guide all the conservation landscapes. So his partnership approach and his understanding of place and people has made a significant contribution to DCNR and then to Pennsylvania. And of course, our program is seen as a model nationwide. So Mike's quiet leadership as a good listener, problem solver, partnership person. He's a strong leader, but a lead through partnership person, lead through mentoring and guiding, and he really helped us steer the ship. He's a kind and compassionate spirit. It's always been wonderful to work with Mike. Great news is Mike's in the region. I don't think he'll be a stranger to all of us. And the great news is he helped handpick his successor, Tyler Semder. Tyler from the Bureau of Recreation and Conservation is our internal lead for the South Mountain Partnership. If you don't know Tyler, you will enjoy getting to know Tyler and his work. Very wonderful person who I think would count Mike as a mentor. Tyler comes at this with a lot of energy, new ideas, and just a total pleasure to work with. So I think all of you are in for a treat as you get to know Tyler, if you don't already know him. Just a couple comments about the significance of this partnership in light of everything going on. Again, it's been a remarkable, challenging year. This partnership remains strong. This landscape remains strong. I mean, I don't think we had any idea what we were getting into, and hopefully this pandemic is the worst thing and the most challenging thing any of us will see in our lifetimes. But I know in my case, I really take comfort in mountains during difficult times. I remember after 9/11, it was just so disturbed and so upset, and I just couldn't get comfortable. I was restless, pacing, anxious, and I went up and sat on the rocks at Wagner's Gap on the Kittatinny Ridge, and just sat and just sitting on those old rocks, ancient rocks, looking out over the Cumberland Valley gave me great comfort. The same thing is true, I'm finding, in South Mountain. I mean, just looking at those quartzite mountains hulking in the distance is comforting to me. Those mountains have seen the Civil War. Those mountains have seen the Gettysburg Address. Those mountains have seen the 1918 pandemic. Those mountains have seen human strife, and are there and have seen humans recover. I've seen society recover. And I find mountains and the outdoors particularly comforting now because, we've got social unrest. And I think the uniting things in society are going to be more important than ever. And outdoors, mountains, trails, parks are one factor in our society, one place in our landscape that unites everybody. We're finding the outdoors are more popular than ever. We've seen an incredible increase in visitorship to state parks and forests, to trails, the Appalachian Trail, local trails, trails throughout South Mountain, trails throughout the Cumberland Valley, and everywhere. It's been a phenomenon. I mean, those who were getting into recreation last year looking to buy equipment, you couldn't find bikes, you couldn't find kayaks, tents, RVs, grills, everything's way up. It's been a major factor in a booming recreation economy. And so I think the question we ask ourselves, number one, more important to more people and more important than ever, is not just what you do on a Sunday afternoon, it's what you do for your physical and mental health. And so I think the work you're doing together, this partnership, takes on even more importance in the context of this time. So we at DCNR are really working hard to be able to deliver what we deliver on the ground. Our staff have stepped up like I've never seen. They've been called to action in ways we've never been called before. With extra visitation, with new visitors who don't always show up equipped, don't always know where to go, get lost, don't have the right shoes, don't have what they need help from staff, and sometimes leave a lot of trash behind. So we, we're really doubling down on our mission. You'll hear in our budget season, we'll be talking about the enhanced importance of recreation, the enhanced importance of the outdoors to people at this time, and that will continue, for quite some time. Once people discover what is out there, they'll become regular users, and so that's great. That's good news for all of us. The work of the South Mountain Partnership has been extremely important in another way that I want to point out. Katie and this partnership decided to really get involved with water and to really become a place to convene and connect on water issues. And I attended a 4-hour meeting earlier this week where state agencies were going over our state watershed implementation plan, and the counties were presenting their assistance and their ideas to help clean up local waterways. And I was amazed. I mean, all 4 counties in the South Mountain Partnership have hired or retained or engaged staff to come up with plans and to really respond with the goal of reducing the nitrogen, phosphorus, and sediment to the bay. But what it really is local waterways, tree plantings, working with agriculture, helping farmers, very smart and engaged staff involved in this, and this remarkable advancements in the work on the ground. And I think these people running the programs, many of them are very young, are just very, very smart, engaged, using technology, using partnership methods, and broadly thinking about how to succeed in a very impressive way. So I think all 4 counties should be very proud of the work they're doing on water. And this South Mountain Partnership is really kind of where we all meet and get to know each other. So the water focus has been very successful. The South Mountain Partnership has been important in climate. I was really privileged to have participated with Shippensburg University as it signed the campus climate agreement. And there's a lot of interest in climate. A lot of the efforts on the ground to improve water will also improve our climate resiliency here in the South Mountain region. Also, DCNR has really doubled down on our commitment to diversity and inclusion. We've got an internal team. We've done training of our staff, and we're rolling out some trailhead signs that make it clear that all are welcome. And I think, as we all know, the public lands in the South Mountain are very welcoming and very important to all kinds of people. And we want to make sure people understand they're welcome. And these are public lands in the true sense of public spirit. So anyway, I want to thank everybody for the great work you're doing. I find the South Mountain Partnership to be one of those real bright spots on my calendar when I have a chance to engage here. So I enjoy being with you. I wish we could be in person, wish we could share some coffee together and talk, but it's just good to be around you and be with you. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to my county commissioner, Vince DiFilippo.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Secretary Dunn. I appreciate it. And I want to thank Katie for inviting me. I always enjoy attending South Mountain Partnership events because they're always good. And I really, really appreciate it and honored to be here today. The county has partnered with South Mountain Partnership, Dickinson College Center for Land Use and Sustainability at Shippensburg, the Borough of Carlisle, Cumberland Conservation Collaborative, Yellow Breeches Watershed Association, and others to provide a 3-part climate action series in which local government entities and educational institutions were able to learn about DEP's local climate action plan program, the actions Carlisle Borough is proposing, and how institutions are participating in developing plans and actions to reduce greenhouse gases and mitigate the effects of climate change. We all have a role to play, and this series has demonstrated the power of partners on various levels of organization. A little over a year ago, Cumberland County Commissioners approved a resolution and made a commitment to preserve 30,000 acres of prime farmland by the year 2030. And this will be done primarily through the County State Ag Conservation Easement Program. This commitment ties in well with taking a 10-year look ahead to where we want to be and committing to a path for Cumberland County to get there. Cumberland County right now ranks 7th in the state among counties that participate in this program for preserved farmland acres. The importance local agricultural industry is to supporting local food supply and distribution was especially noted during COVID-19 pandemic as it raises the profile of the need for supportive measures to foster the sustainability of agriculture in our region. I don't have specific Cumberland County data available, but recently there was a year-end report detailing more than a doubling of sales of farm provider in York Fresh Foods Farms, and a significant increase in redemption of vouchers for customers whose purchases were subsidized. The market set up a mobile distribution network to accommodate the needs of the community. Likewise, farmers on the square here in Carlisle implemented practices such as pre-filling of orders for pickup to help limit customer contact with the vendors at the market. The resiliency of local food systems and the ability to adapt quickly to changes and disruptions in larger distribution chains is worth highlighting in light of this pandemic. South Mountain Partnership has supported the development of tools for landowner outreach and watershed organization and municipal workshops over the last few years to increase regional capacity and resources for the implementation of county-wide action plans, which are underway in all counties within the South Mountain Partnership area. Cumberland County recently received $390,000 from DEP to move implementation of best management practices identified in the plan forward, and anticipates working closely with the implementation partners on the ground in the upcoming year. As we all know, this pandemic has created an increased demand on our parks and recreation, as Secretary Dunn has mentioned, for people who just want to get out of the house and spend some time outdoors and enjoy some physical activity. In addition, people want to stay connected to their communities and, again, spend time outdoors. This demand has created some management challenges in areas such as the Cumberland Valley Rail Trail, Michaud State Forest, and other public lands. But this pandemic has highlighted how fortunate we are to have these areas available. And it's a good thing, really. I mean, this pandemic has gotten to all of us in one way, shape, or form, and being able to get outside and enjoy the outdoors, I think, is a big plus. I could talk a lot more, folks, but there's more important people here who have a lot more information than I do. So I thank you all very much for having me today, and I'd like to turn the program back over to Katie Hess.
Thank you so much, Secretary Dunn and Commissioner DiFilippo. At this time, I would like to welcome our sponsors and to thank them for sponsoring our 10th annual Power of the Partnership event. Without sponsors, we just simply would not be able to do all of the things that we need to do in order to bring this region together. So in light of that and our new sponsorship program, we have invited today's sponsors to speak with you for a few moments. Janet?
Thank you, Katie, and thank you, Secretary Dunn and Commissioner. It is, you've shown why having this landscape for this time of COVID is so important to everyone. And it really underscores the Pennsylvania's environmental amendment and how important that is for us to have that in place in Pennsylvania. And I really appreciate the opportunity. Franklin County Visitors Bureau is really happy to be able to sponsor Power of the Partnership. I think that we have sponsored this event possibly all of the years that it's been, which may make you wonder, why would a Visitors Bureau sponsor the South Mountain Power of the Partnership? But that slide that's up on your screen now really shows you, it's really the backbone of Franklin County tourism, because we have wonderful views, great outdoor recreation with the hiking, with the fishing, with the kayaking. And we have amazing state parks that are in Franklin County. We have 4 of them, and we have the oldest, beautiful, historic Mount Alto State Park. And of course, Franklin County has wonderful fresh food on the farmlands that we find to be so important, not just for our quality of life, but also for presenting a desirable place for visitors to enjoy. So what's happening now? Well, usually in Franklin County at this time, we're having Ice Fest. But because of COVID, there were some changes this year, and the committees and the organizations that sponsor that decided that they were going to have a tremendous celebration next year. It'll be the 20th. So you can mark your dates on your calendar for 2022 for January 27th to January 30th, 2022. for a huge celebration, our 20th Ice Fest. But for now, we still have Frosty Fun in Franklin County. And the Visitors Bureau has a Frosty Fun passport. So I'm showing it right here on the screen. And we have great opportunities to get out and enjoy Franklin County with our pizza trail. We also have a sweets trail. We're celebrating art. We're having kids read, adults read. You can check that out and download it on explorefranklincountypa.com. But this slide is really important to me because a few years ago when we were doing our regional capacity building with the Chesapeake Bay funders, Franklin County Visitors Bureau participated in that, and then we applied for a grant, and we got grant funding for implementation of a certified tourism ambassador program. And in 2021, we are beginning to really focus on giving that to young people in the career and technology, the high schools throughout Franklin County. And we're looking to train at least 100, not really train, but certify students to be certified tourism ambassadors. And the irony in this is one of the students that is a certified tourism ambassador created the slides that you're looking at. And that program is a way for us to just make our young people stronger, not only for a frontline job in tourism, but for any job, because it teaches about the area around them, which includes South Mountain, and it also teaches them that it's a good thing to not just meet expectation, but exceed it, and to really engage with people. And that's really what this partnership is about. It's about engaging with people. And I'd also say that on my next slide, that one of the updates from the Franklin County Visitors Bureau, because we have this great outdoor tourism product, is that we have, it is looking good in our fight to stop the TransSource Independence Energy Project from spreading these 130-foot tall towers across 30 miles of Franklin County. And the partnership is one of the reasons that this happened. And it's all about communication and being persistent, using your voice, getting together and having the energy to work together to make a difference. And I just, can't say enough about how successful we are when we're like that snowball and we go downhill and we pick up a piece here and a piece there. And all of a sudden there is enough to gather to get the attention and be able to preserve that beautiful landscape that is, for me as a resident, part of my quality of life, but is what visitors want to see. So thanks again for letting Franklin County Visitors Bureau be a sponsor of Power of the Partnership.
Thanks so much, Janet. That was really touching. Erin?
Good morning. My name is Erin Latapic, and I'm a professional civil engineer with the consulting firm Herbert, Rowland, and Grubic, or HRG. It is our sincere pleasure to sponsor this event, and we thank you for the opportunity to introduce HRG and say a few words today. Next slide, please. HRG is an employee-owned, 100% employee-owned, full-service consulting, engineering, planning, and related services firm. We were established back in 1962 in South Central Pennsylvania. Our headquarters is in Harrisburg. Our 250-person team includes professional engineers, landscape architects, planners, surveyors, GIS specialists, geologists, environmental scientists, financial specialists, and other support personnel for our clients. In fact, HRG has served the communities within the South Mountain region for decades, and many of our employees live and enjoy the beautiful landscape and recreational opportunities within the region. On the next slide, you'll see that much of our work supports conserving natural resources, communicating and promoting the needs to be good stewards of the environment, and bringing diverse stakeholders together to achieve common goals. Therefore, we're passionate about the mission of South Mountain Partnership. For example, this passion is evident in our role as coordinator for Cumberland County's Countywide Action Plan, otherwise known as the CAP, which supports Pennsylvania's water quality. Secretary Dunn and Commissioner DiFilippo provided some context for the CAPs in their remarks this morning. Although this clean water planning effort is through the DEP and is focused on the Chesapeake Bay goals, it starts with the improvement of local waterways. The entire South Mountain Partnership landscape is covered by CAP initiatives. So through our collaboration with your partners and neighboring CAP coordinators like me, we can directly benefit the many conservation and preservation goals of the South Mountain region. So as HRG, I personally serve as coordinator for the Cumberland County CAP. My leadership role intended to guide the county with this important clean water initiative gives me firsthand knowledge of its positive impact on clean drinking water, places to swim and fish, and ultimately the local tax base generated from increased recreation and tourism. The part of this role I enjoy most is collaborating with organizations like yours to achieve positive results. When we partner on clean water goals, we're taking action to secure South Mountain's future and strengthen the partnership's capacity to further its mission. This happens through strategic planning and allocating resources, for example, funding and people to organizations in order to achieve common goals. Like the South Mountain Partnership, HRG also feels strongly about communicating with stakeholders and advocating for a sustainable environment. For example, our CAPS initiative's success relies on educating the community on the value of clean water and how they can contribute to achieving safe standards. It's exciting to see community members taking a vested interest in their environment and showing an eagerness to understand the science involved in preventing pollutants from entering the waterways in the first place. Many are self-monitoring public waterways. Some of you are on the line today, and more people are becoming active in organizations that promote conservation and preservation of our resources. This is a trend HRG's employees support both professionally and personally. Again, we thank South Mountain Partnership for the opportunity to take part in today's event. Your organization provides a valuable benefit to this region, and we are grateful for your service. It is our hope to continue to partner and collaborate with you on water quality issues and the preservation of all natural and recreational resources in the region and beyond. Together, we can ensure a high quality of life for local communities and spur continued economic growth. Thank you again very much.
Thank you, Erin. Wonderful. Thank you again to the Franklin County Visitors Bureau and to HRG. Next, we are moving into our panel discussion. At this time, I'm going to stop sharing and ask our panelists to turn on their cameras. So as you're probably aware by now, this is our 10th anniversary of our Power of the Partnership celebration. And we thought that this was a good opportunity to bring back some old faces and to bring in some new faces to join us for a discussion about the evolution of the partnership, landscape conservation approaches within the conservation field, the need for preserving and promoting the landscape, and why all of the partners who are part of the South Mountain Partnership matter, and the value of everyone's collective efforts. So we will begin with brief introductions from panelists. And I'm actually going to share my screen again to run their introductory slides. So we're going to start with you, Lauren.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to be joining you here virtually, although I'd rather be with you in person and happily enjoying bacon. But unfortunately, we don't have that today, and I'm trying to limit my bacon intake as I'm here in my home office. My home office here in the South Mountain landscape that when I look out the window, which actually faces directly south towards the actual mountain of South Mountain that I can see very close here to me over the fields and across some preserved farmland that's next to me, along with our national park, the Appalachian Trail, which I have been watching. Of course, I've not been doing this while I've been working, but I can see right out my window here, and I see many people enjoying the Appalachian Trail this year, and I'm struck by how much more hearty we've become in the winter. Used to be, you would see nobody out here in the winter, and this winter, over the last couple months, it's been nearly as busy as it was some other parts of the year. So I think that's pretty cool. I love to see all the folks out enjoying the landscape, and you know, although we're living in what we can only call to be extraordinary times, I can't come up with a better word than's been being used. It has opened folks up to some other assets in our community and across our state. And one of those assets is all of our conservation landscapes. And I think I have a map here coming up. So DCNR started this program over 15 years ago. And I don't think we would have realized how powerful and how impactful it has been on the regions that we are working in. And South Mountain is, I can safely say, one of the most powerful and most impactful of the conservation landscapes that we have. And because of Katie's leadership, Mike Eshelman's leadership, I know he's on, and then many of our sort of alumni that we have here, like John Peterson that you're going to hear from. And then with the new leadership we have under Tyler, we know that this region is really making an impact on all the folks that are here today in this meeting. And I think it's really great to see almost 100 people on the in the meeting today virtually across our landscape, and pleased again to be here with you. So the Conservation Landscape Program for DCNR really helps us to further our mission, which is your mission, the mission to advance conservation, to advance outdoor recreation, and to connect with all the people of Pennsylvania. Somebody was talking about Environmental Rights Amendment. That might have been Janet. And that, you know, that is the North Star or the South Star that we use in our work every day, and the conservation landscapes help us to achieve that goal. They're place-based partnership networks. They facilitate regional thinking and local action. We know that we want to think in a regional level, but we want to make impacts here at the local level. And this work enables DCNR and all of our partners, all of you, to tackle the challenges of the day. And those challenges can change. You know, we hear about local land use issues, as Janet mentioned, but we have broader issues as well, like climate resiliency. And South Mountain is the northernmost point of the Blue Ridge, and so it is uniquely an area where we need to focus on climate resiliency because of species migration and so on. So the landscape is key to these challenges of the day: climate resiliency, inclusive and holistic recreation that connects with all Pennsylvanians and all visitors that come to our state as well. And sustaining our economy. We talked, and we've heard already today, about water-based impacts and farmland impacts and things that we need to focus on, and the landscape does that as well. So we'll get into more of that as we go on, but I want to remind you that at the last Conservation Landscape Power of the Partnership breakfast, Secretary Dunn announced our 2019 Conservation Landscape Evaluation Report, and we have been busily over the last year under the leadership of Meredith Hill, our Conservation Landscape Program Director, and all of the partners implementing this plan, doing things like expanding the metrics of how we measure the work that we do, and really strengthening the program. Many of the landscapes are doing strategic planning like you all have done and continue to continue to keep this program on the cutting edge of landscape scale work. So that's all I have for right now, and I look forward to getting into the conversation. Thank you.
Great, thanks so much, Lauren. It's a real privilege to be here and to follow on from Lauren, and really look forward to picking up a lot of the themes that have been touched on already and that Lauren shared and discussion that comes. You know, I took a moment to sort of scroll through the participants list, and it's you know, a walk down memory lane in many ways for me, and so wonderful to see so many names and to be able to be in the same room with everyone again, even if the room is virtual, and also to see a lot of new names and be able to make some new connections in a landscape that will always hold a special place for me. As Lauren alluded to in her comments, I previously served to help coordinate and guide the South Mountain Partnership from 2012 to 2015, and was able to really engage in the landscape and engage with the people. And you know, a real pleasure and privilege and an experience I look back on fondly and draw on and continue to draw on in my continuing professional work. Right now, and I'll just transition to the next slide. Thanks, Katie. Just wanted to give a quick introduction of the organization I work for now, which is the Network for Landscape Conservation. And this is a group that emerged a decade ago, and it sort of emerged out of the observation and conversations around the realization that, as Lauren was talking about the Conservation Landscapes program within Pennsylvania, there was this work bubbling up all over the country, and people, more and more people were coming together to connect, think about, and reflect on what it means to think regionally or think at a landscape scale, and what it means to then take action at that scale and think about how do you have an impact at a landscape scale. So folks were increasingly moving in this direction, and it quickly became apparent there was enormous potential for people to connect to learn from one another, connect to share experiences, connect to focus on what's working well and what's not working, and to really just create that community of practice where everyone doesn't feel like you have to solve these issues, these common issues that are happening and folks are wrestling with in landscapes all over the country. You don't have to solve them on your own. We have a growing wealth of experience and expertise in communities and landscapes all over the country. What happens if we can bring those people together into a community of practice and create that exchange and learning? So that's really where the Network for Landscape Conservation emerged from, and that's our role. That's the niche we try to fill, and we are a community, and it's a community around shared work, and the shared work is thinking about landscapes and thinking about the communities that constitute those landscapes, and the ecological and biophysical realities of those landscapes, and working towards a future where those are balanced and integrated and sustainable. So the other piece that we think about a lot as the Network for Landscape Conservation is this issue of scale. So we're building this community and bringing people together across contexts and across the country. And are there areas where there's a real need for a national scale? And can we provide that platform for bringing people together and thinking about issues at scale? So you know, what are the enabling conditions, if you will, for landscape conservation? What can we do at a national scale that makes the work of the South Mountain Partnership easier, that makes funding more readily available for this collaborative, integrated landscape level work? What are the policy conditions that really foster this collaboration and impact? So you know, I think that's where I would leave it now for the time being. The Network for Landscape Conservation, we're really trying to build that community and create that space, hold space for exchange and learning. And then also thinking about the various scales that we're all working at, and how do we integrate across scales, and are there opportunities where we collectively as a community can come together and create changes that enable the work at all scales to accelerate and improve. So I'll leave it there. It's so wonderful, really, really wonderful to be back in the room with you all. This is definitely a highlight of my week, and really looking forward to picking up the conversation with everyone else on the panel.
Thank you very much, John. It's good to see you, and it's good to see everyone else on the panel. I'm the executive director of the Franklin County Visitors Bureau. Franklin County Visitors Bureau was relatively young. We pretty much grew up right beside the South Mountain. We were carved out of the Hershey-Harrisburg Visitors Bureau at the end of 2005 and really got up and running in 2007. So I have a different connection organizationally with South Mountain because it's hard to start an initiative, and I applaud South Mountain because South Mountain now has, when you say South Mountain Partnership, all these years later, all these 15 years later, there is recognition for that. There is brand recognition for that, and that is and it's not simply among government organizations or watershed groups or hiking groups. It has made a presence with people. And I read the 2019 Conservation Landscape Report, and I found it to be refreshing that it pointed out the approach that the Landscape Initiative uses is to relate to people in their environment. And that is how I hope we can take some of the things that John referenced as visions and Lauren referenced in her comments to bring our next level of community. And the word community just expands. Community is not just your hometown. Your community can be your county, and then it can be your region. And before you know it, it becomes your state. And that's how South Mountain Partnership is a model of landscape conservation. And that, you know, obviously I made the comments in the beginning, so this is why unusual connections need to be made. There needs to be more groups that are not looked at initially as conservation, but the business community is I feel the next gateway for us to embrace and to start to have some of those best practices, the kind of mentality that Joseph Rothrock had when he suddenly said to timberers that, hey, you're going to put yourself out of business if you don't start thinking beyond the nose on your face. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve with the partnership on the leadership committee and on the communications committee. And I look forward to all the powerful things that we can do. And hopefully this discussion will be the beginning of a lot of that.
Good morning. My name is Antonia Price, and I am the project manager for the Center for Land Use and Sustainability at Shippensburg University. I also serve on the leadership committee. I started, I guess has it been a year? But I love working with the partnership, and I guess next slide, Katie. Our mission is fostering healthy, vibrant, and sustainable communities through applied research, experiential learning opportunities, and interdisciplinary cross-sector partnerships. We love engaging with the South Mountain Partnership and all of the opportunities to implement our mission and vision. We have a lot of mission overlap, and we love that about the partnership. Our projects fall into three main areas. We do a lot of data analysis and preparation that supports land use planning and decision-making. We have a lot of projects that look toward the future and consider sustainability and developing climate resilience. And we have projects that support our smaller local organizations like the Cumberland County Food System Alliance and the Conneaut Creek Watershed Association. And we try to engage students in all of the work that we do. And we utilize the expertise of affiliate scholars across campus to help support the needs of our communities. Our projects are very diverse, but many of them directly support landscape conservation. We work in the Delaware River Basin and along the Kittatinny Ridge, but more locally, we have projects that support historic, cultural, and natural resources. As Secretary Dunn said, Shippensburg University recently signed the climate commitment, which will support community climate resilience in the South Mountain region. And we are also helping support the South Mountain Research Corps and Science Summit and the development of that program, and utilizing the expertise of all the universities in our region and the scientists and the students. So we're excited to be here. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Dennis Shaffer. I'm Director of Landscape Conservation for the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and I'm actually joining you this morning from northern New England, where it's -3 this morning. So hopefully you all are a bit warmer than I am. But I'm just so pleased to be here. As I think some of you know, I have deep roots and lots of connections to this landscape. It's an area that's been part of my life since early childhood, and I love the South Mountain region. It's been responsible for much of my connection and the deep values I hold for the outdoors and outdoor recreation. So in addition to my, as part of my work as the Director of Landscape Conservation for ATC, I'm also the lead staff person for the Appalachian Trail Landscape Partnership. The South Mountain Partnership is a major player in the Appalachian Trail Landscape Partnership, and I love the way Lauren captured it. I can't remember your exact wording, Lauren, but I think you said thinking regionally but acting locally. And I think that I would, as we talk today, I hope to instill that regional level thinking, regional in this case being the whole span of the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine, but the connection that you all have within that greater partnership at the local level and the action that you're achieving and the results that you're achieving. The Appalachian Trail Landscape Partnership it's been in the works for we're into our 6th year. It's a collaborative effort that aims to leverage the collective resources and influences of its partners to expand and accelerate the pace of conservation across this landscape. Our mission is really simple. It's to connect the wild, scenic, and cultural wonders of the Appalachian Trail and its surrounding landscape. Katie, you can do the next one. Up to this point, we've not defined the Appalachian Trail landscape with hard boundaries. We really look to our partners to define the relationship of their projects and initiatives to the AT and to the landscape. ATC's been playing an active role with the South Mountain Partnership since before the formation of the AT Landscape Partnership. When we get to our discussions, I can talk some more, but the South Mountain Partnership has really become a model for the work we're doing across this landscape. And not only has the South Mountain Partnership become a model, but I think as Lauren and Cindy, Secretary Dunn know very well, what Pennsylvania has done with its conservation landscapes has just been such a shining star for our work and especially the work of our public agency partners across this landscape. What Pennsylvania has done with the Conservation Landscape Program through the South Mountain Partnership, the Kitty-Tenny Ridge Coalition, all of the landscapes. And I think the AT actually either crosses or touches on 5 of those. This work has just been so important as we've built this partnership spanning the 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine. So I'll be happy to talk more about the partnership and the work we do and our connection to the South Mountain Partnership as we get into the discussions. But for now, I just again say thank you so much for having me. It's nice to be back in home turf.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you to all of the panelists. All right. So we are going to jump right in. I will remind our panelists to try to keep yourselves muted if you're not speaking, but also to jump right in when you feel compelled to share information. And for folks at home, please feel free to enter any questions that you have in the Q&A. And we have some moderators behind the scenes helping us to process your questions and get some of your desires transferred into our panel today. So I think we'll open up with a question that I think is pertinent to perhaps all of the panelists. And that is, what is the most important thing for the audience to know about how you and your organization work with or collaborate with the South Mountain Partnership? And we ask because oftentimes interacting with the partnership changes our perspective about where we are headed, either personally or as an organization, in terms of how we look at our role in conservation and preservation of landscape resources.
I'm happy to kick it off. I think that for DCNR, having landscape conservation partnerships like the South Mountain help us really to ground us in a different, maybe not a different reality, but a more holistic reality than we might have when we're focused on our own programs and own fires of the day, as it were. So as we all know, working in organizations, any organization, but certainly in government, you're focused on delivering the services, the thing for that day. And sometimes you can get blinders on for what is, how that impacts the region, or how you could more effectively deliver those programs in partnership with the public. So, it grounds us in the reality of the landscape and in the reality of how our programs, our parks, our forests, our grants, our community outreach is critical to the communities that we serve. So, and it also brings us a lot of different perspectives, both from just sort of the general citizenry that's part of the partnership, and then the organizations that are implementing work on the ground, either alongside us or with us, or we may not even be connected, and the partnership can help us to think about what the appropriate connections are and how we can work to more effectively deliver the things that we all are trying to do and achieve our shared mission.
I'd like to add to that. From the Center for Land Use and Sustainability perspective, I find that there are a lot of partners that have, like you said, a shared mission, and we can get so much more done when we work together. We're able to maybe collaboratively pursue projects or grants, and when we work with the South Mountain Partnership, there's such a great network that sometimes you learn about a new partner that is interested in similar work, and so we're able to collaborate on a new project or initiative, and that's really wonderful.
Katie, I'll jump in. I think in my introductory remarks, I mentioned that the South Mountain Partnership actually predates the Appalachian Trail Landscape Partnership. And when we were in the formative stages, we did a lot of looking around the country through organizations like John's, the Center for Landscape Conservation, and others that are resources for this large landscape scale work. We looked at other collaborative models from all around the country and across North America. And one of the shining stars as we looked at those models was I say little, South Mountain Partnership. And part of the reason why we focused on the partnership that was in place there is that the success in the work that you all have done in bringing a diversity of partners together. We think typically about the traditional conservation partners. We work with state agencies that do land conservations, land trusts, etc. But I think what the South Mountain Partnership has done is it's demonstrated the power of bringing a broad range of community organizations together to collectively advance our goals. And the other thing that it has demonstrated, when you think about this large landscape scale conservation and think about this 2,000-mile stretch from Georgia to Maine back to Lauren's reference, we as a collection, or we as ATC, we can't do this work individually. We depend on all the partners. And what the South Mountain Partnership has reflected is these regional initiatives, the importance of these regional initiatives of what we now refer to as nested initiatives. So you're collaborative within this larger collaborative. And since the formation, there's been a lot of acceleration of the work of these regional initiatives. Many times people refer to them as regional conservation partnerships. It's a term that came out of New England. But we now have these nested initiatives or these regional partnerships covering much of the trail, some of them predating the AT that have come together around this iconic resource and the values that it brings, and others are new that have formed since the partnership is developed, including just to the south of you, the Heart of Maryland Conservation Initiative. So it's the history of this part of the South Mountain Partnership has really been instrumental in the development of the overall AT landscape partnership and just this practice of collaborative conservation, which all the speakers are alluding to, which is just so powerful in leveraging all of our collective resources and expertise.
Yeah, thanks, Dennis. There's so much to pick up on in Dennis's remarks, but I think, one of the things that sort of from where I sit now and thinking and working at a national level, that's so unique and so powerful about the South Mountain Partnership is that notion of landscape resources. And to pick up on Dennis's point, the partnership has shifted and moved beyond conventional conservation priorities as the sole driving factor. And I would say, maybe a way to think about it is it's shifted the object of attention for conservation from sort of that hard and fast conventional conservation approach to the notion that now the object to be conserved is a landscape. And what is a landscape? A landscape is, yes, that biophysical, ecological components, but it's also all of the social and cultural elements that are layered on it, the meaning that we as individuals and communities draw from the landscape. And when thinking about the landscape resources of the South Mountain Partnership, I think that's where the partnership's work has been super powerful and bringing that holistic, integrated approach to it. And to Dennis's point, the South Mountain Partnership is a great example, and Pennsylvania is a great example. And I think one of the key aspects that emerges in that 2019 review of conservation landscapes is the power of having that backbone coordinator and someone to sort of be the glue, the connective tissue that holds this collaborative work together, because it is really hard to do it. And you know, a testament to Pennsylvania. They've been in the game for 15 years, providing that support to these landscapes to make sure that there is that glue holding it together. And that's a real model and, you know, a really important work. And Pennsylvania is to really be acknowledged and honored for their visionary leadership on that front.
Janet, I think you were trying to say something. I want to check your mic.
Can you hear me?
It's very soft. Can you get closer, perhaps?
Franklin County, as part of the one of the partners that one would not automatically think of as a partnership, we benefited from South Mountain Partnership greatly in its role as a convener. With the whole Independence Energy Connection project, that is really the role that South Mountain played in that whole initiative. They brought awareness, convened partners for a discussion and a dialogue. And so often, it's ironic we're having a panel discussion. That's really what we do. We have a dialogue. And out of that, people organizations start to, governments start to think about, what is it that I can do? How does this fit me? And from there, the aspects that Dennis and John were just talking about, that is the foundation of spreading the whole conservation initiative. For Franklin County, that Independence Energy Connection was a land use issue, but land use issues, like Lauren said, do drive climate change. And so what happens, it may initially be a transactional type thing, but all of a sudden people's ears open, municipalities' ears open. Organizations that are not typically seen as conservation organizations start to pay attention to the bigger picture. And if there is a bigger picture concept, certainly a landscape initiative fits that.
Thank you, Janet. So Janet really touched on the direction in which I had hoped that this conversation would flow in this period of it. And that is, the question about how has being involved in the partnership helped you or your organization to respond to changes or challenges of landscape resources, changes to those landscape resources in the region. And so we just heard Janet speak to the proposed Independence Energy high tension, high voltage proposed electric line, and how just helping to convene partners early on in the stage had a lasting impact and has really helped them elevate that project and build out a lot of countywide support. And so I'm wondering if the other panelists might have knowledge or some stories to share about, similar specific projects that, our partners were involved in, like that played out that narrative of convening non-traditional partners just to have that conversation. What do we want for our future? And what steps are we going to take to get there? So I recall the White Rocks was sort of the genesis story of the South Mountain Partnership. And, maybe Lauren, you can speak a bit to that.
Sure. I was kind of thinking of that as old news, but I can speak to that. The White Rocks, the preservation, the land that we work together to preserve there at the next to the White Rocks development that connects over to the Appalachian Trail and connects the viewshed in that region was absolutely a critical birthing of the South Mountain Conservation Landscape. And in that case, we collaborated with National Park Service, Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and the local community and the landowners there to preserve that land through a collaboration of federal, state, and local funding. So we never could have done that without the South Mountain Partnership. It never would have sort of maybe risen to the need at the federal level if it hadn't been for the South Mountain Partnership. So I think it's a critical, sorry, I have a friend, critical example. But the example I was thinking of, and I'll be just real quick because I know others want to speak, and I know there's a couple questions in chat too. Maybe they've been answered, but anyway, or Q&A, I guess it is. This is not something I myself was directly involved in, but I do think that the work that was done and is continuing to be done in Mount Holly Springs around the, is it Mount Tabor? Is that right? The name of the church, the African-American church there that was sort of brought into focus through the Heart and Soul Partnership and through work that the South Mountain did is really remarkable and really exciting. And it's the kind of story when we talk about the need to tell the untold stories of the community. Often those are just the untold to us, maybe those of us who are white or, sort of in the conservation community, but not, and we want to recognize all the stories of all the people. And that project really shines to me. And we're working with the National Park Service on a further focus on untold stories in the landscape, where we're going to try to identify things that are broader than the history that we might have traditionally told. So I'm excited about that and be looking forward to working with all of you as that moves forward. So thanks.
Katie, you brought up White Rocks, and as Lauren said, that was really the genesis of this partnership and an old success story, but sort of fast forwarding to today. I think one of the things that I've been just amazed with is the progress, very quick progress, that this partnership has generated around the water quality issue. I know that the partnership has long been part of the greater Chesapeake watershed and all the efforts to clean up the bay, but narrowing down in the past year or two, the narrowing that the partnership has done, and the pace of which that is being embraced. It was really fun to hear Secretary Dunn talk about being in that meeting with representatives from the 4 counties and how that has really been generating a lot of attention, a lot of focus, a lot of planning. I come from more of a traditional bucks and acres conservation background, get it protected, get that land protected, but we have to all keep the long perspective in view. And I think it's that sort of local initiative around themes like water quality that will eventually lead to those protected acres. We heard the county commissioner from Cumberland counties talk about they have a 30,000 acre goal for farmland protection, which is tied to that water quality issue. So I think it's pretty remarkable what the partnership has done in just, this relatively short amount of time to really highlight the attention and the importance of the issue, the water quality issue.
Thanks.
I would say that the Heart and Soul Initiative, it pulls together the community and the economic development overall. And I know for the Dillsburg Heart and Soul, I can remember at the partnership meetings when we convened at the Dillsburg Tavern. And so the relationship, again, South Mountain was a convener. They were a nexus point for connections and possibilities. And I think that that is the ultimate strength of a relationship with the South Mountain Partnership is there are possibilities. They are an educator, they are a convener, And I just, when I look at the value that gets wrapped up in that, when it translates to an economic and a cultural preservation initiative like Heart and Soul, we need that model to move forward if we're going to get past just talking about it, you know. So that's my feeling.
Thanks all. Oh, Antonia, you have a
Thank
moment,
you.
and then we will shift to a few questions that we have.
Okay, I will be as quick as possible just to say that what I think is incredible is that the South Mountain Partnership is involved in so many different things and serves as a convener for so many different things. So I had 3 quick examples, thinking about the South Mountain Research Corps and Science Summit, trying to engage all, I think it's 14 institutions in our region and landowners and property managers to come up with a shared vision for research needs and research capacity in our region. Thinking about the Cumberland Conservation Collaborative Climate Action Planning Series that is under development, and how Katie stepped up to facilitate all of the various partners helping to support the 3-part series. The final event being, I think, February 2nd or 8th. And then also the Rhyolite project on South Mountain. It started with a mini grant, but it engaged partners across institutions and then has led to a conservation plan to protect these, you know, cultural resources. And that's all just been, some of that's been in the last 2 years. So I think it's very impressive.
Thanks, Antonia. So we have a comment that I think is really, really great, and I want to share. And it says, I appreciate the emphasis on bringing in non-traditional partners. Can you talk further about what types of organizations you envision as being potential partners to involve in these kinds of initiatives and strategies for collaborating with these organizations?
I'll just take the first cut at this, Katie, and offer really general sort of contextual remarks maybe, and give some other folks a chance to think of specifics. So I'll dodge a little bit maybe. But, you know, I think in listening to all of the amazing comments from everyone on the panel today, one thing that really stands out to me, and one thing I keep hearing again and again, is that notion of relationships, right? And this work is predicated on and driven by relationships. And, you know, conservation or landscape conservation is about making human decisions, and decisions are made through relationships. And as I think about the value of the South Mountain Partnership and how the South Mountain Partnership thinks about its work, I think it's really important. The other piece I would layer into this conversation is scale, and thinking about, is there, you know, I think if you looking from just from a biodiversity or climate change perspective, you might be inclined to think as big and as large of a landscape as you possibly can. And this ties back to some of Dennis's comments on how they've structured the Appalachian Trail. But if you're thinking at the scale of the entire East Coast of the United States, you cannot build relationships, deep, genuine relationships across sectors, across different perspectives. You can't hold those together. So what is the right scale at which you can do that really well? And I think there is a Goldilocks zone where you're big enough to be having impact at a regional level, but small enough that you can maintain those relationships and really invest in non-traditional partners and reaching out and spending time to cultivate those relationships over time. So I think, you know, I love the notion of the nested partnerships that Dennis alluded to in his opening. And I think, you know, just a comment there perhaps, and broader, bigger picture comment than the specifics perhaps this question is driving at. But I think it's really important to think about relationships and building those relationships and being able to maintain them at the right level.
Give you an example of how that an organization that decided they were going to go too, it ended up being too large. This is my opinion. It's Girl Scouts of America. So they took away the local neighborhoods because the area of Franklin County, we were under York, the York region. And now it has gone to be so national that the message has lost its authenticity with the person. So if you want to look at a model, look at Girl Scouts of America. Too big now. Look the way it used to be. I mean, that's a personal observation. As far as organizations, I feel we could engage more art and artisans because the flavor of the land, we've done that somewhat with the distilleries and the wineries and the breweries, but there is a cultural flavor to the land. And I think that you can find so many different partners when people understand the actual message that this landscape is valuable to everyone who lives here, everyone who has a business here, everyone who breathes this air and drinks this water. So I think there's, you know, a plethora of places that you can start to cultivate.
So we may have time for one last comment. If anyone wants to respond to that.
Just real quick, I think all these questions about partnerships are great. And I think one of the things that we want to challenge all of us to do is to reach out to what we might call even more non-traditional partners. You know, organizations that work more are more diverse than ours might be, culturally, ethnically diverse, I specifically mean. You know, we've done that to some extent, but probably not. You know, it's hard to do. So I think I challenge us all to think about that. In the Q&A, also, there was a note about working more closely with the local AT clubs. And I think there's great potential there. We do that to some extent, but I think we'll definitely want to follow up with Diane, I think, and talk about how we might connect with her club as well. So again, great conversation. And I just challenge us all to think about all the partners out there and all the folks that we want to work with to advance our work here in the region. It's fun being with you today.
Thank you so much, Laura, and our panelists. As a last note, and in the same vein, talking about those non-traditional partners and collaboration, we also had a comment about, you know, how do we gain input or feedback from our partners in the broader community. And if there is time later, I'm going to speak a little bit about our decision to create a South Mountain Partnership Directory. But I just wanted to quickly note that the identification of that need came directly from the public input that we gathered from our audience. Probably many of you joining us today at the fall partnership meeting when we facilitated those breakout groups. We asked you, why do you keep showing up, or why are you here today? And it's all about connection. It's all about connecting with folks that you wouldn't otherwise be able to connect with throughout this landscape. And so we will be taking action on your feedback and creating a directory of sorts, or the first generation of that. And we plan to implement more opportunities for what I call feedback loops, where we're reaching out to you and we're using your input to drive some of our actions and decisions in the future. So please know that. And if we did not get to your question today, we will follow up in some form. So please don't be disheartened. And I want to thank our amazing panel. Again, I could just let you on until, you know, the afternoon. I find this to be such interesting work. And when you get people from multiple backgrounds and areas of expertise, it just makes the discussion so much more enhanced. And thank you for all of the time that you took to prepare and join us this morning. We very much appreciate it, and it's great to see you.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, everyone. Great to be in the same room with everyone again.
Ditto. Thank you so much for allowing me to join in.
Thank you, Katie, and everyone else. Have a good day.
So now we are shifting over to the next segment in our program, which is our Spirit of South Mountain Award. We're actually flip-flopping the mini grant awards with the Spirit of South Mountain Award today. Could someone just confirm for me in the chat that you are seeing the Spirit of South Mountain slide?
We're not. We're seeing your agenda right now, Katie.
Oh, okay. What about now? Should be seeing screen 2.
Yes.
Okay, everyone's saying good. I'm glad that I checked. Thank you all. All the comments are streaming in now. It says hard work when you can't see anyone face to face. All right. So, as many of you know already, each year we recognize an individual, a project, or an organization that has made significant contributions to advancing sustainability and the future of the South Mountain landscape. And the Spirit of South Mountain Award is presented usually annually if we have the nominations for it at this event, our annual celebration. And I believe that this might be the first time that I have the privilege of awarding it. So I'm so grateful for that. This year, the awardee was nominated by the Friends of Michaud State Forest with support from Michaud District Forest and the Center for Land Use and Sustainability. The 9th Spirit of South Mountain Award goes to Dr. Claire Jantz. Dr. Claire Jantz is a convener, persistently bringing together community groups and the next generation to protect and enhance our region's resources. As a Shippensburg University professor and Center for Land Use and Sustainability director, her recent collaborations include an Appalachian Trail Natural Resource Condition Assessment for the National Park Service, solar infrastructure assessment for Antrim Township, and regional climate action planning with the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, the ICLEI Local Governments for Sustainability, Cumberland County, and Dickinson College. Claire, as she's also known, was instrumental in the 2020 signing of the Campus Climate Commitment, building community capacity for regional climate adaptation planning. Claire has an incredible service record demonstrating a deep personal commitment to our region and the partnership's mission. Claire serves on both our program subcommittee and our Research Corps and Science Summit Committee, while strengthening the network through all of her various civic engagement. She is a board member of the Central Pennsylvania Conservancy, avid supporter of the Cumberland Valley Rails to Trail Council, and member of the Rotary Club of Shippensburg, as well as the Borough of Shippensburg Zoning Hearing Board and Shade Tree Commission. Finally, she is a founding member and the chair of the Friends of Michaud State Forest, which is newly launched and is working to protect 85,000 acres of Michaud's natural, cultural, and recreational resources at the heart of the South Mountain region. The Friends work with the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources to coordinate outreach and education, trail building, cleanups, seed collection, and development of a resource stewardship program for the benefit of Michaud State Forest. As an example of her transformative partnership investments and leadership, Claire recently protected one of the region's remaining 19th century iron furnaces, known as Big Pond Furnace. She protected it from development and arranged transfer to the Archaeological Conservancy, where it will be permanently protected and available for future research. In her personal and professional life, Claire lives and breathes the spirit of South Mountain, working passionately to conserve and promote landscape resources to enrich the quality of life and the sense of place for our region. Oh, excuse me. Michaud District Forester Roy Brubaker, the Forest Assistant Manager Michelle Blevins, and Forester Matthew Pachalski had this to say about Dr. Jantz. She is as comfortable creating and leading collaborative dialogue around data sharing and research prioritization as she is in organizing, energizing, and executing trail building and litter cleanup days across Michaud's diverse recreational stakeholder groups. I have never met someone with Dr. Jantz's scientific chops so wonderfully integrated and with such good humor, commitment to community engagement and development, and motivation to do good practically in all things. Project Manager Antonia Price at the Center for Land Use and Sustainability at Shippensburg shared that Claire creates connections and celebrates the work of those around her at every opportunity, contributing incredibly to our landscape and partners while sharing a love of the region with all those around her. Through her tireless efforts and a rededicated mission of fostering healthy, vibrant, and sustainable communities through applied research, experiential learning, and interdisciplinary partnerships, Claire revitalized the Center for Land Use and Sustainability in 2015 at Shippensburg University, and it's now serving as a key resource for the South Mountain region. In her role as the director, Claire is the bridge between academic disciplines and communities, bringing people together to creatively solve the problems that we face today as a society. Lastly, in her private time, Claire is a passionate beekeeper and a nurturer of animals. She protects pollinators by capturing swarms and has been known to care for abandoned great horned owls and swallows alike. This personal dedication is touching and inspiring, and Claire educates others on how to be a good steward of our environment by practicing what she teaches. Claire actively contributes to a number of community initiatives and organizations, working from a holistic perspective to support sustainable and healthy communities, whether considering the need to support local businesses or working to develop community recreation opportunities, healthy ecosystems, and urban tree canopy. You will often find Claire at the table. So please join me in congratulating and thanking Dr. Jantz for her spirit of South Mountain. Over the next few weeks, we will be formally delivering the award to Dr. Jantz, and we'll invite her to share a few remarks with the broader partnership through our newsletter, our website, and social media. Congratulations, Claire, once again. Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. I am going to cut out the South Mountain Partnership update. We'll follow up with an email with all of this information, as well as our 2020 year in review document. That is that's information that we can share with you via email or in our newsletter and such. But I do want to get you access to the mini grant awardees. We obviously could not have an award ceremony this year. So we thought that putting together an engaging video series about the 2020 mini grantees is the next best thing. So I hope that you enjoy.
The Adams County Farmers Market Association is based in lovely Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, which anchors Adams County as a whole. We've noticed nationwide the increase need for food access, the number of people that are food insecure. Our organization was looking at how can we develop community partners and how the market can actually be part of solutions when it came to food, because we're bringing in local foods, healthy, nutritious foods from local growers, and then we launched those programs, whether it was a voucher for a family considered food insecure, accepting SNAP, which is a food stamp program at the market. So it was just part of bringing different people to the table and actually having these open conversations about how we can work together to meet the needs of the community. If you were to survey a lot of growers throughout the whole South Mountain region, you'd be surprised at how many of them depend on farmers markets as their source of income. That's how their farm survives. With the help of Katie Hess and the South Mountain Partnership, it helped us hone in on a specific part of the project and specific needs, which is for board development and strategic planning, which will help us really advance the organization for the future.
One of the most compelling parts of this project with South Mountain Partnership is that aspect of cross-promoting the other initiatives going on in South Mountain. It's more than just a retail outlet for food. It's an educational opportunity. It's an opportunity for various organizations to connect with the community, and we're excited to be working with other South Mountain Partnerships partners, such as the Adams County Watershed Alliance and the Appalachian Trail Museum, to give them more exposure and to kind of help funnel our customers and visitors to the region.
Going through the process that the South Mountain mini grant program has allowed us will actually help us become more sustainable. We have some public and private support, but we'll need more, like any other nonprofit would be. And I think it's going to really help us fine-tune that message to get out there and kind of boast and brag about what the farmers market means to our community and beyond. So South Mountain is definitely helping us get there.
I am the Community Outreach Events and Marketing Assistant at the Cumberland County Historical Society. We were founded in 1879. We like to protect and preserve, tell stories, share collections of the past to the present. We have school-age children that come in, those that want to seek their genealogy that come in, visit our museum, look at our rotating exhibits that go through. We have our main office is located on Pitt Street that has our museum, our library, our photo archives, which has hundreds of thousands of photos. And then we also have our 2 Mile house that was bequeathed to us back in 1992 by the King family. The house itself was built in 1820, and we want to preserve that house. It's a beautiful limestone property, but we need to protect it. There is a walking trail from UPMC, which is located directly behind the property at 2 Mile House. We have talked for many, many years about having the trail connect from the hospital to our property. And this would be for the staff, those visiting family members in the hospital, or just visitors to the property. We've wanted to do this for as long as I know of, probably the last 15 or more years. This grant is actually making that dream come true. We're going to finally see this put into place and achieved, the grant will help to get the awareness out to the public that this is available for them to enjoy and explore and to see the plants and to see the butterflies and to do a scavenger hunt and to get the history of the Walnut Bottom corridor as well as the South Mountain area.
The 2 Mile House project is kind of that, stepping stone that you can come and see it, perhaps find out more about us, find out more about the community you're in, and just discover a little bit more, and then potentially fan out into other counties too. We want to be, not just the Carlisle Historical Society, but the Cumberland County Historical Society.
I really feel that if we do not protect and preserve what we have now, it will be gone. And once it's gone, we can't ever get that back. And we have to make sure that we are protecting it and that we're preserving what we have. That way the future generations will know what is here and what they can enjoy.
We're the Mount Tabor Preservation Project. We basically started out in 2016 as a volunteer group to clean out the former Mount Tabor AME Zion Church. I was a former congregant, but there were neighbors, former congregants, descendants, people that had history background, preservation background, all came together with the United Way Day of Caring to clean out the church. Well, I think that one of the most important things to point out is that last year, the Borough of Mount Holly Springs took ownership. Them taking ownership allowed us to be able to write grants. Our goal is to work through the phases with the understanding that the phases of restoration and preservation may change based on necessity. Because the church is circa 1870, and being that old, we're finding out that the roof is not as sturdy as we thought it was. So we'll be working through adjusting our phases of restoration. And, there are so many ironies with our story. The irony is that the South Mountain Mini Grant is going to help us in our first phase of restoration, which is the restoring of the foundation, which is made of South Mountain stone. So it's just like everything it falls into place. We know that we have a lot of work to do in the church, but already we're talking about what are the gardens, what are the natural flowers. We're making lists, what did we see when we were growing up that was in the wood, so that we can make sure that we can get that back into the woods and, mark it and put up a kiosk that talks about the surrounding plants that are native to that area and that were there in the 1800s, and see how today can be backed into yesterday and how it all blends together. South Mountain's still standing there, and guess what? People that walked over the mountain and built this church, the church is still standing there. Their descendants are still standing there. Congregants are still standing there. The town is still standing there. When people hear our story, they've been very generous, and not only with funding, but with sharing the story. We will be successful when more people hear about us and want to know more about us and visit us.
The Conagwinnett Creek is a reflection of the activities and use of the watershed. The Watershed Association is very active in trying to hopefully manage growth and employing strategies that reduce contaminants to the creek. We really want to recognize the South Mountain Partnership for the awarding of the grant and express our appreciation.
With this grant, we intend to get a 12-foot trailer. The trailer need is a vital one for us to be able to continue our work safely and efficiently as it relates to our creek cleanups and to riparian buffer planning maintenance. We typically spend about 4 hours in the creek with 20 to 30 folks. We do that 5 times a year if we can. Our longest boat is 14 feet and the trailer is only 8. So we need better equipment. We need safer equipment. We need stronger equipment for the weight of these boats and all the garbage that we're pulling out. The funding, obviously, that we're getting from the South Mountain Partnership and this grant is enabling us to do more outreach, to get the word out to more people. So among other things, the grant that's enabling us to put this booklet out, it's being professionally produced now because of the funds that we're getting. And I think people are going to see a great story about the watershed. The inside back cover is going to be a page devoted to how can you help. You get in that creek, you wind up owning it and caring more about it. And that's the kind of thing that we're trying to encourage.
All right, well, I cannot see myself and I hope that you all can and that you can hear me. Thank you once again to the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and the Appalachian Trail Conservancy for your assistance in helping us to continue the mini grant program. We will certainly be sharing these videos in the future, and we'll make those easily shareable and accessible to you. That marks the end of our program today, and I want to sincerely thank the attendees. Thank you to all of our speakers and our panelists. Thank you. Thanks to all of our speakers and panelists. And thank you to the planning team that helped to plan the event today. Tyler Semder, of course, our DCNR internal lead, Elizabeth Grant, who is the chair of the program committee, and Julia Chain, who also serves on our program committee. Final shout out to our other chairs of our subcommittees for all of their work that they're doing year round. That includes Stephanie Williams with the Organizational Development Subcommittee and Janet Pollard on the Communications Committee. So once again, thank you for your time today and for engaging with us around all of this wonderful work. Stay connected to us. Make sure you're on our mailing list so that you can get all of the news and information and updates. And please stay safe. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Take care.